All right. Hey, what's up, y'all? Peace. So, ladies, I appreciate you all sharing your ideas about this topic and whatnot, but there were pieces of what you ladies said that I agree with, and things you said that I don't think line up with reality often enough for them to be good points, right? So, one of the things that I think y'all need to understand is that uh, society has very different expectations about what is acceptable for men than it does for women. So men are responsible primarily for three things. One, you are responsible for your own safety. Nobody is coming to save you. As a man, you learned this early. Nobody is coming to save you, right? Two, you're responsible for your own happiness. Men learn this very early. Nobody is put on this planet or in your life to make you happy. You have to find the things that matter to you and work to get them. Three, you are responsible for covering the expense of your own life and your own lifestyle. Nobody needs to pay for your car insurance, your home, your homeowner's insurance, what you eat, or anything like that. These are responsibilities that men are measured on. Men measure one another, right? So our value to men is based off of two things. One, are you useful to the group? If you can't be useful or helpful to other men, then men don't want you around and we don't value you and we think that you're a loser. Two, how efficiently do you are you able to be productive? Right? That's the second thing that men look at when they're evaluating one another. Guys who are very productive, men who are useful to other men, those men have value amongst other men. All right. Women, you are very different. You don't have the same burden of performance that men do. If you're 28 years old and you live with your mother, no man looks at you and thinks you're a loser because of that. If you get with a man and he pays for your car note, nobody looks at you as a loser because of that. They think you are winning. Society and women and men have very different standards for women than they do for men. And so that is why we are not equal. We are not equally valued. We are not equally looked at for the same things. Women do not come to relationships looking for a man to give them the same things that men look for from women. So that is why we are not equal. Men do care about your chastity. They do care about the rules you have around who you give access to your body. Husbands do. Men who want to have sex with you, a man will stick his dick in warm mud. So it doesn't matter if you got a high body count from a man that just desires you for sex. And what I found, and it was confusing to me because I didn't understand this from the men's side until later in life. What I found is that most women do not know how big a difference it is between a man who desires you for sex and the type of attention that you get for a man who has a genuine interest in having a long-term relationship with you. These are two very different men. And you get a whole lot more of the first guy who just wants to have sex with you than the second guy who has a genuine interest in having a long-term relationship with you. Most women, you ladies date the men who are chasing you around. You're not going after the men that you want. And that's why when we talk to you about male standards, they're fucking invisible to you because you are swimming in a sea of fuckboys who want to have sex with you. So when it comes to the type of man that you would want, the guy that you have to stretch to try to meet his needs and his standards, you don't know the first thing about his standards because you're blinded by all the shit that you receive from guys that don't want anything except some warm mud to stick their penis in. And then you equivocate all men to that because you've never really stretched yourself to meet the standards of the type of man you want. And oftentimes you think by getting things that men have, like money and status and vehicles and homes, that makes you more desirable to men because it is very difficult for you to understand how differently men approach dating and marriage than you do. We are not looking for that shit from you. We are not. If a man makes 50 or $60,000 a year and can afford to live in a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment in the house that he lives in, the car that he lives in, and all of that, and he could find a woman who was willing to live underneath that with him, and she was going to stay home and be a homemaker, men would be comfortable to do that. Before I started making money, I lived in a 1 bedroom apartment. And what I saw were women who were Albanian, Romanian, Arab, all these different women from different cultures staying with their man. The man was making 30, 40, $50,000 a year, and they lived in that apartment and she stayed in the house and she took care of the babies. Y'all are not willing to do that. That's why you can't find men. And now a lot of those women are with those men that they supported, and they're further down the line, and they got 3 and 4 and 5 kids, and they own a nice house, and the woman is chilling. But that's a lot of women are not willing to do that, and I don't blame you for not wanting broke men. But I think your standards for what you want from men who have money, you're not going to get them. You're not going to get that type of man. I worked on the corporate sales floor for nearly 2 decades. The men on that sales floor made between $100,000 a year and $150,000 a month. And we worked 8 to 12 hours a day to do that. I'm calling the Eastern Alaska. I'm calling all over the goddamn place to make that money. And when I was hustling my ass off to try to make something out of myself and cut my teeth in the corporate world, I was imagining coming home to a woman who was going, I was going to walk in the house and the kids are already doing their homework and I can smell roast beef cooking. It wasn't coming home to an empty house because the woman is working as hard as me. And that's why the men on that sales floor didn't marry the women on that sales floor. The women who are making good money, they're still making good money, and they baby mamas or they're unmarried because the type of men that they're looking for don't want them. We are not looking for the same things from one another. And when the woman earlier said that, oh well, women went and got something to bring to the table, you went and got some shit we don't want. And now you're bringing it to the table and nobody wants it, and you're mad at the men because you're not listening to us. We're telling you very clearly, and you're arguing back like you know what it is that men want. If you knew what men wanted, you would have the type of man you wanted. You're a
Woo!
woman. You attract everything. Everybody in the world. If you're a woman and you can stand upright, you can walk out the door and give away some pussy. So if
Okay,
you're
so
not
what
getting
do men want? They want a
We
woman who
want
stays home.
femininity. We want femininity. We want youth. We want cooperation. We don't want some other man's kids, and we don't want a fucking attitude. We don't want to deal with that. I'm not going to deal with that. I've been a multiple six-figure earner for a long time, and I'm telling you, the men that I move with, the guys who are around me, other competitive, successful men, black men who are in the black business class, men who are business owners, they do not want to go out and conquer the world and come home and argue with a woman about who's in charge or 50-50 or any of the other stupid shit I hear women talking about online like you guys have leverage. You don't. You got as much
Okay,
leverage
so
in
can
getting
she
a
work?
man.
Can she work?
You get as you have
Black
as
Jesus, can she work?
if
Just asking.
can a woman work? Yes, she can work. But if she prioritizes her career over the family or over what I want, then she needs to go and be with somebody else that's going to put up with that shit because I don't have to. And that's the thing that you ladies are failing to understand. These men that you're talking about, guys who are high earners, guys who can afford to sit a woman down. And I'm not talking about millionaires, right? But guys who can afford to sit a woman down, these what percentage of women do
Okay,
you think
okay,
make over
and
seventy-five
you know
thousand
what?
dollars a year?
I'll take. Miss Evidor, he waited a very long time. Let's let him speak, and then I'll give y'all opportunity. Let's let him finish. He waited 45 minutes. We gotta let him talk. Y'all be able to rebuttal after. Sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. Less than just just over 10% of women make over $75,000 a year. Okay. So this idea that there are all these successful women and they can't find men, and that's why black women are so single, is because they're so successful and the men aren't matching them. The average black woman makes about $42,000 a year. So that's not the problem. The problem is a woman who has a degree in sociology or in fucking psychology. She thinks that because she's got a degree that she's going to get a man that's making 150 or $250,000 a year, even though she's overweight and in her 30s, and she's not going to get that man. Men who make that type of money, they were dreaming too when they were hustling, and they weren't dreaming of her. And that hard reality is busting up women. They're so frustrated that men want what they have always wanted: youth, cooperation, beauty, no kids. That's what men want. And there's nothing you're ever going to do to change that. And that's not patriarchy. That's 100 million years of reptile brain developing in evolution. My penis is tied to my eyes. My getting an erection is not like squeezing a fist. I have to be attracted to what I see, right? That's how men work. You girls are different. Somebody can spit on your stuff and you can have sex. That's why prostitution exists. But for men, it's not that way. I have to be attracted. It is a whole bunch of sympathetic systems that work together so that I can have some sex. So I'm not attracted to your bank account. That doesn't make my dick hard. I'm sorry to tell you that.
Thank you.
So when you women refuse to accept this as a reality, and you argue back and forth with men who have what you say you want from men. And we are telling you that we don't want the shit that you worked your life to get. I'm sorry that nobody told you that while you were in college. I'm sorry nobody told you that when you were pulling all nighters at the office to get ahead. I am not telling you that that work is not valuable. I'm just telling you it's not valuable to men who are at your level who want marriage. They're not going to pick you because of that. Very few men want a woman who is exhausted like he is, where she can't fuck that night, or she doesn't want to cook that night, or she is just as irritable and as emotionally drained from being on a phone or working or going through files or sitting in front of a computer as he is. Men who have the type of status that you want don't want that from a wife. They want youth, beauty, cooperation, inspiration, a light, laughing, loving mood. And that's what they want. And they can get it because I'm going to tell you something. Okay. 8 out of 10 women will line up to fuck that guy. They want to have his children. Nobody told me this when I was in my 20s. Nobody. And then I got to my 40s. I divorced at like 35, 36 years old. And I was making all of this money. And I had no clue. I started taking some trips and shit like that. And all of a sudden, I started getting women sliding into my DM. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And next thing you know, I was dating girls that were in between 24, 36 years old. Girls did 22, 23, 24, 25, 28. I had no clue these women would be interested in me. And guess what? They didn't. Obviously there were ones that just wanted to try to see if they could finesse me, but there were women who wanted husbands. They were ready to settle down. This thing that women don't find themselves in their 20s, this is an American thing. The average age of a woman who marries in this country is between the ages of 22 and 26. This is a black thing that women think they're supposed to fuck their way through their 20s and city girls up and all of this bullshit. This is a white thing that they think they're supposed to jump on 100 dicks in their 20s. That's not an Arab thing, an Asian thing, an Indian thing. It's not a Jewish thing. It's not a thing that these other cultures of women think. And these women are getting married and staying married. The average black woman marries at damn near 31 years old. And geriatric pregnancy starts at 35. And so I meet women all the time who are in their early 30s and they want to be married right now because they already gave the best of themselves to some loser that didn't want anything except to get his dick wet. And they call that experience. Well, guess what? The men you want don't want women with those experiences. We don't want to deal with your emotional trauma. We don't want to, if body count didn't matter, then women wouldn't need to heal after they had 100 bodies. Y'all always talk
Woo!
about y'all healing. If body count didn't matter and you were supposed to be doing what I am doing as a man, then you wouldn't need to take time to heal and break soul bonds and all of that other vaporous bullshit that y'all sit up and talk about. It's unnatural to you to let a man pin you down and screw you and then meet another guy a couple of nights later and let another dude do the same thing. Quit acting like that feels good. Quit
Marty,
acting
really
like
quick,
that
Marty, really quick,
fills you up spiritually. It
Marty,
does
really
not.
quick, really quick, Marty, really quick. I'm gonna let you keep rocking. This I always say this, Marty. They all of them they always have that epiphany moment. For some of them it's younger, for some of them it's older. They wake up one morning, Marty, and they realize like, damn, they really I'm sorry, y'all really do feel used and abused. You realize like, damn, all these men that I've been given all this access to my body, they don't care about me. They don't care about me at all. The only time they hit me up is to do certain things. I don't get happy birthdays. I don't get holidays. These men don't care about me at all. And now what do, Marty? Now I'm gonna be abstinent. Now I'm gonna be celibate. So
Yeah.
now the next guy that you deal with, he's gonna suffer for what Javante and Davion and Ladarius and all of them put you through. But go ahead, keep rocking out. Keep rocking out.
Yeah, and this and what it is, and I got a whole bunch of women in the comment section that's saying I'm hurt. I'm not hurt. I'm
Don't worry
dating
about
a woman that is fit, friendly, confident, got a master's degree, is the most feminine woman you ever. I went over to her house last night at 9 o'clock after hanging out with my friends for a little bit at the cigar bar. And then I went over to her house and she woke up at 11 o'clock at night and made me some this bean dish that she makes that I love, these crushed lentils. And she did it without a problem and she did it butt fucking naked. I'm not angry at nobody. I'm living a goddamn dream. You out of your mind if you think I'm angry. Ain't nobody over here, man. I'm just telling y'all the truth, and y'all don't like that shit. But it's what you're seeing in reality. You're seeing this. All of you are seeing this. You can't tell me that the vast majority of high earning men are marrying women in their same age bracket and income class. You can't tell me that's what you see in reality. You can't tell me that you see the celebrities and athletes marrying other celebrity athletes who are in their same level. They're not. That's not what the men do. They're not picking those women. They pick these no-name broads that the only thing they ever did that was famous was sit on some poo nanny and then give it up to the right man. We are not the same. And the dominant narrative that the media and feminism is telling you women has absolutely nothing to do with objective reality. And you're using that narrative for your decision making, and it's giving you results you don't like. And the men that are of your same culture and tribe are arguing with you about reality that boys are boys, girls are girls, water is wet, the sky is blue, and old Satan Claus, he's out there. We are telling you what reality is, and you're ignoring us at your own peril and not getting the outcomes you want and blaming the men. So when Noble tells you that you need to lower your standards, he's telling you that because if you're a high earning guy, before you're ready to settle down, you have access to all the women, all of them. So you're not going to just pick one. You're going to pick 3 or 4. You're going to juggle. If a woman fucks up, you're going to get rid of her. You're going to have girls that you take serious for a minute and then stop taking serious because they say or do something that you don't like. That's the thing that it confuses you women is you think you're the only one who can fuck somebody. They can have bad dick and then you take them out of the rankings for a relationship. Men do that to you all the time. There are guys who sleep with you, decide afterwards, you know what? It ain't worth it. Her attitude, it's not worth it. Her opinionated, it ain't worth it. She's combative, it ain't worth it. You know what? Now that we've gone on a couple of dates, I've hit a couple of times. It's cool. The poo nanny's cool, but the attitude ain't. Or maybe you know what? The poo
And
nanny's
that's
not cool.
okay. And that's
And
okay.
Hold on,
yeah,
Miss
Let's
Avatar.
leave.
God, man, hold on, guys. This man
women
sat here
women
for
do that.
45. 1 second, Marty. This man sat here for 45 minutes and did not say one word. Okay, he is going to talk, and after him, it is going to be Queen. He sat here for 45 minutes. He is going to talk. I don't care if y'all don't like what he's saying. I told y'all what it was going to be before I let him talk. If you don't want to be here, leave. Go ahead, Marty.
There's a lot of women that have a problem with the fact that men will smash and then decide they don't want them anymore, as if just because somebody smashed that means that they picking you for something. But you'll go out on dates with a man you know you don't want after the first date, and you'll keep dating him. You'll even smash a man that you know you don't want anything from, and then decide afterward that you don't want him anymore. Y'all are you sleep with a man, he come too quick, his dick too little, he don't know what he doing, and then you decide you don't want him anymore. And y'all act like any man who does that is a bastard that's trying to screw over the world and he's a bad human being just because you let him hit the draws and you don't know how to wash your ass. There's some men who don't want you after you give yourself to them, and that doesn't make them criminals any more than it makes you a criminal when you don't want a man when his dick game ain't shit. So it's the women. You guys have a standard at which you view the world where it isn't based off of right, wrong, logic, reason, data, statistics, facts, rationale, objective reality. It's not. It's based off of how you want things to work. You want it to work this way that, you know what, if I focus on my career, then the type of man I want is still going to want me, even if I fuck my way through my 20s and just focus on a bag. And women are online every day crying because it's not true. There are 40-year-old women all day who are making content. Men are seeing this content where all day they're sitting up crying saying, feminism lied to me. It lied to me. It told me that if I came out and became successful, the type of man I want will want me back, and it's not true. I'm here and I'm alone. Or feminism lied to me. It told me my body count don't matter. 100 men done jumped up and down on me, and now nobody wants me. I got an OnlyFans account, and people are still finding content of me with 3 and 4 dudes jumping up and down on me. I am sorry. The world is not the same. Y'all have different powers than we have, and we have different powers than you. And because men are never going to want from you in general what women want from men in general, it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be fair. And guess what, ladies? There's always going to be a patriarchy. Always, always. Whenever you have men and women working together, men are always going to outwork men are always going to outwork women in general, because guess what? We don't gain access to sex and children typically if we can't outperform the woman we're with. Y'all don't want to fuck a guy who isn't taller than you, stronger than you, smarter than you, makes more money than you, has more resources than you. Most women as a group, not every woman, not all women, but most women as a group don't want to fuck men beneath them. So because of that, men are always going to have to outwork you to gain access to women. And so whenever you have two people together, there's always going to be a hierarchy. They have to cooperate. Cooperate means there's going to be a hierarchy, an assignment of responsibility. And men are always going to gravitate to the top of that hierarchy, because you can walk down the street and the fish are going to jump in the boat. For a man, he has to become something to get anything. And so, because of that, we are going to work harder. We are going to work longer. We don't have to get pregnant and have babies. It's always going to be a patriarchy. That's why every damn society that you've seen since the beginning of time, except for a handful of them that y'all bring up from Africa and act like it's 80% of Africa that was like that when it's not, right? That's why every single society, basically since the beginning of time, has always been ran and led by men. Because y'all don't fuck people that can't provide for you, and you shouldn't. Because when you have babies, you are more vulnerable. You need a man that can cover the cost of your life and the child and protect the both of you. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying that a lot of women nowadays, their standards are so high that the man that is their natural mate that's making 50, 60, $70,000 a year that they still need to submit to and cooperate with, they're not looking at him. So they're going unmarried. Men have always gone unmarried with no children. 50% of men throughout human history never reproduce and never get married. 50% of men never reproduce and never marry. Damn near 80% of women always have children. 80% of women throughout time end up having children because y'all can do that. That's your choice. But 50% of men never marry. Never. They never have kids. It's always been that way. We can go back 800 years. It's like that because you have to qualify women for a woman to take the chance of killing herself, giving you a child and allowing you to put your genes into the next generation. It is highly competitive for men. And we accept that. We don't complain about it. Most of us do not. We accept that we need to show up to play, or we need to have the money to be able to get the women. Y'all want it all for nothing and you mad that you're not getting it. And you forgot the rules of the game completely. And now you got a whole bunch of masculine ass women that's hard workers and this, that, and the other. They're great. They'd be a great friend. They'd be a great co-worker. They'd be a great business partner. But a wife, when you want to argue about who's in charge, no, no, I'm sorry. The men you want don't want that. They don't.
Marty, before I give the floor to Queen, I just want to make sure you're finished.
Yeah, that's those were the main points that I wanted to say. I wanted to make sure that Evanor understood, because she set up this dynamic, and the dynamic that Evanor set up was that you're telling women to lower their standards, right? At the same time that you're telling women that they should be going after men who don't have to make all of this money, but at the same time, you know, women are called sack chasers for going. I don't call women sack chasers for going after men that have money, but
Right.
you have to understand that those men, they are offering a different agreement than a guy who's a middle earner. A man who is saying, "Hey, I'm going to pay for everything and cover the cost of everything," doesn't want a woman who's going to leave him if he gets some extra pussy. And a guy who is going to work with you and be and you guys both financially have to contribute, he's going to be statistically more loyal than a guy who is a high earner. And the other young lady, Taro, she was very right. When men go up in income, they go up in dating options, and because of that, Chris Rock said it best: men are only as faithful as their options. A
Yeah.
lot of men struggle with fidelity when they start making a lot of dough. I've seen it a lot. You know, it's not like these men are perfect or anything like that. Guys who are high earners, we're not perfect men, right? And I'm not saying it, but most of us don't leave our wives for younger women because we don't want to blow up our financial life or start over financially for some young punani. We would rather just have our cake and eat it too. And I'm not saying that's right, but it is what happens. And
Yeah.
you ladies need to know the reality. I'm not justifying that reality by telling you that that is how things work. But if you're going to go into that game, then you should know the components of that game and how it works. And so most of those women who are married to men who make 30, 40, 50, 60, $80,000 a month, right? Those women are not going through their man's phone trying to fuck their own lives up.